On the 1st of January 2020, the Thai government introduced a nationwide policy to ban single-use plastic bags. Introduced by the Pollution Control Department of the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, this policy is meant to reduce the 2 million tons of plastic waste, which the country generates annually, and out of which 1.2 million tons account for plastic bags. Sampling the residual waste in 24 provinces of Thailand, 27.3% accounted for different kinds of plastic bags. While this policy is narrow in scope, it does not stand on its own. The ban of single-use plastic bags is part of a 20-year action plan on plastic waste management commenced in 2018. However, this ban only targets shopping malls, convenience stores, and supermarkets. The purpose of this policy may be called into question when considering that it is limited to the sales industry, and therein selected retailers, as well as limiting the ban on plastic bags that are, on top of all, single-use. But taking a look into the plan reveals that it consists of sequential steps to build and expand systematically the waste management capacities of the country. The target is primarily the economic sector, as the plan encourages government and private sector partnerships to develop economic approaches which are meant to incentivize plastic management. However, consumers have also been considered by means of discouraging from polluting behavior. While this sounds like the persuasive approach as initially intended by means of a campaign to educate against the use of plastic, a ban does not allow for deviation. This makes it a regulatory legal instrument. The penalties, however, do not appear to have been elaborated yet, as no information can be found. To notice is, while the reduction and eventual prohibition of plastic bags is an integral part of the plan, an outright ban was originally set for 2022. While other plastic products such as cap seals and microbeads were meant to be banned in beforehand. This fact leads to reason why the sudden ban with its criteria was introduced at this time. From the perspective of the policy cycle, the environmental problem would have required finding a definition, which was followed by an agenda on how to deal with the problem, which was turned into a regulation, which then was implemented accordingly. However, while there was a definition of the problem as well as an agenda, the formulation of the policy and its implementation was notably accelerated from 2020 to 2020. Given that there is an overall plan that conceived the problem and policy options were likely to be thought out to some extent on how to deal with each step in the plan, it seems more plausible to assume that a political factor played into accelerating the policy on plastic bags, in the sense of the multiple streams approach. This political factor may likely be the mounting international awareness on the plastic pollution, as the topic was picked up by the news media around the world and ultimately showcased a whale washing up on Thailand's own shore in 2018. The whale was diagnosed to have been died from plastic consumption, counting more than 80 plastic bags in the animal's intestines. To this event add the findings from a study on plastic pollution, where Thailand was identified as the 6th biggest marine polluter among 20 countries worldwide. In summary, the media and research institutions may have forced the Thai government's hand to act faster than planned. While no absolute evidence is available, the limitations of the implemented policy may derive from the resistance of the economic sector. Changing towards alternatives will require investment into developing those alternatives, which will come at an additional cost, as opposed to maintaining the cheap solution of plastic bags. To consider is also that Thailand is a country with a significant number of people living in poor economic conditions. For many people, the only income source is to sell meals and beverages. As plastic bags are cheap, those people rely on using them as food and drink containers. Applying a rigorous plastic bag ban across all actors of the society, with no alternatives in place, would cut off the poor from their income option, a circumstance which is unlikely in the interest of the political power in a developing country. Instead, just like the plan on plastic and waste management outlines, this policy is likely to be one step among the number of steps to be implemented over time, while gradually addressing a greater audience. The question remains the effectiveness of this policy, as single-use plastic bags are defined as having a thickness of less than 36 micron. As was reported in the news media, the Thai Plastic Industry Association lamented not to be able to produce thicker plastic bags fast enough, so as to abide by the ban on plastic bags thinner than 36 micron. In other words, Thailand's industry is preparing to create plastic bags that are thicker, and therefore even less degradable.